Welcome to our meeting. The date is August 13, 2024. The time is 7 p.m. This is an open meeting of the Grand Island City Council. The City of Grand Island abides by the Open Meetings Act in conducting business. A copy of the Open Meetings Act is displayed in the back of this room as required by state law. The City Council may vote to go into closed session on any agenda item as allowed by state law. At this time, please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The city clerk will now perform roll call.
Councilmember Mendoza will be absent. Councilmember Kaczynski?
Present.
Councilmember Hazy?
Present.
Councilmember Sheard?
Present.
Councilmember Pollock?
Present.
Councilmember Fitzke will be absent. Council President Stelk?
Present.
Councilmember Nickerson?
Present.
Councilmember Landfair will be absent. Councilmember Conley?
Present.
And Mayor Steele.
Present. Also present are Jill Grenier, the city clerk, Laura McAloon, the city administrator, Patrick Brown, the assistant city administrator, Carrie Fisk, the city attorney, Keith Kurtz, the public works director, and Matthew Gleason, the finance director. Individuals who have appropriate items for city council consideration should complete the request for future agenda items form located at the information booth. If the issue can be handled administratively without council action, notification will be provided. If the item is scheduled for a meeting or study session, notification of the date will be given. Items 6, Q, and R have been removed from the consent agenda for additional consideration. Does the council wish to remove any other consent agenda items? Mr. Pollock.
I do not. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Then we will proceed. A sign-up sheet was available in the lobby for individuals wishing to provide input on any of tonight's agenda items. If you did not sign up to speak on an agenda item, please come forward, state your name and the agenda topic on which you will be speaking. Hearing none, we will continue. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda, items 6A through 6P, excluding items Q and R? Mr. Pollock?
I would make a motion to approve the consent agenda, items 6A to 6P.
Yes, sir. Except for Q and R, correct?
Correct.
Mr. Conley?
I will second that motion.
Thank you, sir. We take up item 6Q, purchase of a voice over internet protocol.
We have to vote on it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Please vote. Is it not working? Is it now?
Is it because there's still speakers?
No, there shouldn't. Is it up yet?
Yeah, there it is.
Okay. Motion adopted.
Item 6Q, purchase of a voice over internet protocol telephone system. Good evening, Mr. Brown.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor, City Council. So tonight, this is a purchase of a VoIP system. It's also known as a voice internet over protocol. We are replacing our telephone system at City Hall, Police Department, 4 fire stations, and library. The current phones were installed in 2013, I believe. And right now, it's really hard for us to get service, and we have a lot of issues with our phone. If you've noticed, it's very hard to change our phone tree. If you call into City Hall, it is still Renee Edwards. So we're going to get these things going. So a little bit of history. So the traditional landlines, the FCC is ordering local phone companies to start to move away from the landlines to copper lines. And so by 2030, you're going to see that 5% of the landlines will remain. Again, the VoIP system is a voice over internet protocol phone system, also known as an IP telephone, broadband telephone. So it's phone service through the internet, but it still uses a handset. You can also use, like, I just call them earbuds, so it's soft phone. If it's long, it's got Bluetooth, and so folks within the system can just not have a handset and just use those if they like. So the vendor we chose is Americom, and they use Xaltis hosted phone system. And it's web-based, so it's all in the cloud, and it has a lot more functionality than what our current system has. We're able to save the messages, move messages to different folders and stuff like that, which is really pretty cool. What's also a really nice feature is sometimes staff will get a phone call, and in the middle of the phone call, sometimes it turns sideways. And it's always good to hit record. The system will actually pick up the recording at the beginning of the conversation. So it won't start in the middle, it'll start at the beginning. So that's just some of the functionality that the system will have. So it's replacing the old system. The local line bills will go away once we port all the numbers over. We made sure in RFP that we had this company do all the porting, because if anyone has dealt with a phone company, they would know why. We've also made sure that it's compatible with our 911 system. There are federal laws like Ray Baum's Act and Kerry's Law regarding 911. And so we made sure that the system has that capability. So there's two parts of this. There's an implementation part where we buy all the handsets. They come in, they put the handsets in. They don't hook up to the wall. They will actually hook up to our PCs or docking stations, whatever it may be. And they'll port all the numbers and do all the training, and training is for the lifetime of the contract. So the implementation side is $87,416, and then the monthly fee is $5,878. So that is kind of a wash with what we have right now. You think it would be cheaper, but it's not. Everybody, they like getting their money. So it's a wash right now, but what we gain is functionality. And that is it.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Mr. Nickerson?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve 2024-180.
Thank you. Mr. Pollock?
I would second that.
Thank you, sir. Discussion? Mr. Nickerson?
Yeah, thank you, Pat, for explaining. I've heard of it before, but I wasn't really sure. But the one question that stood out to me is, if it's through the internet, what happens when we lose the internet, should that happen? You just don't have, there's no backup system at that point.
And that's more of an IT question. I believe we do have redundancy in the back end, and maybe one of our other services picks it up. I cannot verify that at 100%, but I know we have a redundancy for City Hall for sure, and for the fire station. So.
And you said it's tied in, it's compatible with the 911, but are they going to be on the VoIP system as well, or no? Are they kind of got their own little?
They just updated their system, CallWorks. They have both. So they have digital and they have copper. So
Their redundancy there. Okay. That was just something I remember years ago when this was becoming a trend, but I've not really seen anything about it for a long time. It's just kind of curious. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Stelp.
That you have is if we have COVID again, you can just give them their phone and their computer and go home and plug it into the internet, and they're in business. That happened at our office, and it was just beautiful. You just give everybody a laptop and tell them to plug it into take their phone home and plug it in and get to work.
Yeah, absolutely. That's glad you brought that up. So 1306, or Utility Billing Center, has been on a VoIP system for a number of years now. And then when COVID did hit, they did take their computers home and just connect to their monitors. Another thing about this system is on our iPhones, our Androids, whatever, there's an app for this service. And so if there's a phone call into the office phone, we can just transfer it over to our cell phone, or if you're out of the office, you enable that app and your phone will ring if they're dialing your office number. So,
At our office, our service has been good. As far as expense-wise, we were able to cut our telephone bill in half.
I'm hoping.
Please vote. Motion adopted.
Item 6R, Community Development Block Grant 2024 to 2028, Consolidated Plan. Good evening, Mrs. Alvarez.
This item is regards, as you know, mentioned, to our 24 to 28 consolidated plan. As an entitlement community, we are required to update our consolidated plan every 5 years, along with our housing study and analysis of impediments to fair housing. Within that, we also have our annual action plan included within this large document of the con plan this year. To receive our annual allocation, all three of those documents do have to be re-updated either annually or every 5 years. So our consolidated plan really acts as the strategic plan for the program. It kind of goes through, we use community data along with some surveys that we partner with other local community partnerships with to implement and put out to get our own data. We utilize some census data, but knowing there's some holes there, we used some more local data that we were able to come up as well to kind of create the strategic plan. And from that, then we moved on to creating our annual action plan, which really acts as that grant application. It ties a dollar amount to actual projects of what we plan to implement throughout the next year. For the 2024 CDBG program year, we received an annual allocation of $339,000. I do believe I may have made an error in the memo of not including. We did have an extra $10,629.29 from previous program years. So if you added up all those numbers, it might have been off from that $339 that was stated in there. But those are just funds that were kind of left over from various different projects. Either they finished a little under budget, and so we are reallocating that $10,000 as well as the new $339,000 to new programs throughout this upcoming year. We run our program on a competitive grant basis, and so we each year on January 15th through March 15th open a grant application window and accept proposals from community partners to see and kind of gauge what is needed in our community and what can be actually implemented with these grant programs. From that, we then utilize our Entitlement Stakeholders Committee to review those applications and have community discussions on what programs might be needed or would be successful in our community. And so within this year's, the list that was in the document and that I have up here are what we have decided to utilize funding on. Firstly is the program administration that does the amount that is reimbursed to the city to administer the CDBG program, which is $51,133.29. Next, we move into our public service type projects. HUD does have certain caps of how we can spend the funding and what kind of type of projects can have certain amounts of funding. And so the CBG is slightly different than other HUD programs that we think of, where it is not primarily for meeting those basic living needs. And so because of that, to kind of not allow it to duplicate some of their other grant funding, they do only allow us to fund public services with 15% of our overall allocation, which gives us a very small portion for that. That is usually where we get most of our grant requests for, though. So this year, we did have around approximately about $50,000 that we could grant into kind of that category, and the proposals that we decided to fund were $10,000 to Central District Health Department for daycare scholarships, $10,000 to Hope Harbor for operational costs, $5,000 to Third City Community Clinic to help pay for their medical program and medical needs, and $25,000 to Project Hunger, which will go to help with their food program. For projects that don't fall underneath that kind of public service cap and really meet kind of what CDBG's goals are, which is creating a quality of life for low-income persons in our community, the projects that we decided to fund were $75,000 to 4th Street BID Rental Assistance Program, $23,000 to Hope Harbor for building rehabilitation. This will kind of help them update and fix some security issues within their doors and ADA accessibility into the building. $100,000 to Third City Community Clinic for their building rehabilitation, and then also $50,496 to the YMCA building rehabilitation as well, which gives us a total of $349,629.29.
Mr. Nickerson?
I'd like to make a motion we approve 2024-181.
Sheard?
Thank you. I will second that.
Mr. Nickerson?
Amber, it's always good to see you. I hate to screw up your Tuesday night, but I just think this is a good thing to share with the community, and I'm glad that you were able to do that tonight. One of the things that I appreciate about what you do here and what you're overseeing is that none of us like taxes, but we need taxes, and there's a purpose for them. And I like when taxes are used for good. And it's not that we're not good, but there are people that are helping people, and I think that's a good way to use some of our tax dollars as well. So when I can see that we've got daycare in Hope Harbor, Third City Community Clinic, Project Hunger, and I like to see 4th Street BID, and that's new this year, right? Because they're now a BID, so they were able to actually apply for something like this. See, so there's dollars going toward a very new BID that can definitely use the funds for rent assistance, which I know Railside has used in years past. So it's great to see that go just a couple streets over. And then the YMCA. I was curious, you talked, and you probably said this before, but your application period is January 15th to the March 15th. And so these people know about that, obviously. And then you said you have a stakeholder meeting. Who are the stakeholders, just out of curiosity? You don't have to name everybody, but when you say stakeholder meeting to make these decisions, who all does that involve?
Yeah, so it is made up from 7 representatives from 7 different community organizations. Off the top of my head, I believe we have a representative from CRA, Grow Grand Island, the EDC, Chamber of Commerce, Hall County Housing Authority, City Administration, and then I believe 1 appointed City Council member.
Wow, that's a pretty good mix of people. Well, I just thought it was a great thing to share with us tonight, share with our viewers, educate some of us again that can always be re-educated on this. But I appreciate dollars being used for good things, and this is just another example of that. So thank you.
Please vote. Motion adopted.
Public hearings. 7A, public hearing on acquisition of utility easement 3604 Prairie View Street, Spring Hill Suites. Mr. Schmitz, please present.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a 20-foot easement to serve the new Spring Hill Suites Hotel out by the new hospital. Thank you.
Thank you.
Public hearing is now open. Is there anyone that would like to speak on this item? If not, public hearing is now closed.
Council, the action item is Resolution 2024-182. Mr. Hossie.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve Resolution 2024-182.
Mrs. Gazinski.
Thank you, Mayor. I would second that motion.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Please vote. Motion adopted.
Resolution 8A, approving accepting National League of Cities Economic Mobility Rapid Grant. Mrs. McAloon.
Thank you, Mayor. Council, a few months ago, city staff applied to the National League of Cities for a pilot program that we called the Community Kitchen Pilot Project. If you accept the grant that we've been awarded, our proposal was that we would create a program that provided $2,000 mini grants to local entrepreneurs to provide funding assistance to them to help with the renting of shared commercial kitchen space, purchasing supplies to produce or package their product, creating and producing marketing materials to promote the product and promote their business. We talked with the Grand Island Area Economic Development Council, the Multicultural Coalition, and then partnered with, after we heard about the grant receipt, we've partnered with Central Community College's Entrepreneurial Center in order to put together a program where we can provide not just the grant that will help fund the purchase of supplies and marketing materials or rental of commercial kitchen space, but also wraparound services to help these entrepreneurs succeed and scale up their businesses. So creating business plans, putting together budgets, connecting them with mentors of other local business people that have started their own businesses and grown it. So we were notified about 10 days ago that we have been awarded $20,000 from the National League of Cities, similar to the ICMA grant we received last year. This is a cohort grant. There are only 12 cities in the country that have been selected as recipients, and we actually had our first phone call today. Both Central Community College and the EDC were on the orientation phone call with me, and we have some great ideas. And actually, one of the nice things about the cohort, Durango, Colorado, is one of the other recipients. When we explained what our proposal was, they quickly reached out and said, "We started that last year. We're happy to share what we learned and what we have with you." So assuming you accept this and approve the resolution that's been prepared for your consideration, we will keep moving forward. It is a very fast track grant again. This one is faster, more money and faster than the last one. So this, we would have to have all of the funds spent by January 31st of 2025. So a 6-month grant period. It is termed their Rapid Grant Deployment Program. So quick motion, but it means that we get funding in the hands of entrepreneurs very quickly.
Thank you, Mrs. McAloon. Mr. Sheard.
Thank you. I move that we pass 2024-183 for this awesome grant opportunity.
Thank you. Mr. Conley.
I will second that motion.
Mr. Stell.
I wanted to talk after the motion, or can I talk now?
The motion's done.
Pardon?
Yeah.
Okay, my question is this going to help food trailers, or?
They could certainly be eligible to apply. Our idea is that we will connect people who have home-based cottage food businesses and get them connected with commercial kitchen space. We don't have a commercial kitchen here in Grand Island right now, but the Entrepreneurial Center tells me that that's a frequently requested resource. So what we plan to do is partner with existing businesses that have commercial kitchens, and when they're not using their space, provide a program where the recipients can rent that space. That's the same model that Amos Anson used with Dresbach Foods for the production of their products in the basement of the chocolate bar.
I think it's an excellent idea, and I think it'll really help a lot of people get started.
Please vote. Motion adopted.
On ordinance number 9982, we do not have enough members present to suspend the statutory rules regarding ordinances. So ordinance number 99982, consideration of vacation of a portion of easement in Stewart Place subdivision, 2104 and 2120 South Blaine Street. Mr. Kurtz?
Good evening. Recently we had a request, this homeowner actually requested a license agreement to build a building over an existing easement in the backyard of their lot. Upon further review, we questioned why this easement was there and if it was being used. So we reached out to all the utility companies and communication companies around, discovered nobody was in that easement. After a little research, Chad figured out that over time, the lot lines got shifted around a little bit. The old lot line for this lot over here used to be on the east side of the easement that we're proposing to vacate. So after figuring out that there was no need for it, instead of making the homeowner go through a license agreement, we just decided to vacate the easement. So that's what we're requesting tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Kurtz. Again, 9982 is on first reading. Is there a motion? Mr. Hossie?
Thank you, Mayor. I would move to approve ordinance number 9982 on first reading.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Kaczynski?
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to second that motion.
Thank you. Discussion?
Please vote. Motion adopted.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, council members. We have completed our agenda. We are adjourned.